My brothers, my entourage broskies. This is a entourage only video. This is specifically for the entourage. It's publicly accessible on my world-renowned channel. But I think this could be an interesting one for the guys in the entourage, because we're going out into the streets and we're doing daytime cold approach, streets, malls, etc. And depending on those environments, you know, some are amenable, some are less amenable. And it's a whole process, right? It's a really interesting process. And I think it's good for self-development. But the end result that we're going for is obviously to get women, or a woman, a good woman, right? And this is the way we're going about it, or I've been doing it for a year, some people for longer. And I just wanted to come in with an alternative that I think could be useful for daytime cold approach guys, that I was reminded of last night. So last night I went to a kizomba and bachata party. It was a festival. During the day there was all these classes and workshops, and at night they have a party. And so I just went to the party last night. And it's been a while since I've been a lot on the club scene. It's definitely been a while since I've been on the dance scene. I was on both of those scenes in parallel, to kind of bleed from the Latin music scene into the dance scene. And I was also a club promoter as well for 4 years. And I was also, I did a couple of dance events as well. There wasn't much, they're not as exciting, to be honest. But I know the scene really well. I know that scene really well. And I was just reminded last night of something I find quite funny, really, in retrospect. And this is the power of being just a little notch above, on a little bit of a pedestal socially, being an orchestrator and kind of having value in a hyper niche, so pedestal, orchestrator, hyper niche, those three things: pedestal, orchestrator, hyper niche. Okay, so the pedestal aspect is, and this is specifically for dating, the pedestal aspect for a man is where you're a little bit above the other guys, or maybe quite a bit above them, in a circle where there's women around and they're looking for a guy. And so an example for this from nightlife would be often the bartenders, strangely, the bouncers, the DJ very often, and then the promoter as well. The reason they're a little bit above, in this microclimate, they're a little bit above other guys, is because they're used to the environment, they're very comfortable in the environment. They've got more kind of influence in that micro environment. Even though being a bartender is a minimum wage job, they've still got more influence in that environment. And it's also an environment in which women are coming to get frisky, basically, or even if they're not, well, they might delude themselves that they're not, but you know, that's what happens. And so those guys can do very well in that particular niche. Like the DJ always has a baddie, basically. So does the promoter. The club owner, depends what kind of club owner they are. The bartenders often, you know, they're getting with girls and stuff. It comes quite easy to them because they're in the environment. And anyone with any type of social skills and with a bit of approach skill, it's going to be similar. It's not that status is not personal really to that person. It just comes with the environment, right? So I had a friend who was a bartender, and he was good looking, but I mean the amount of attention he would get and how many women threw themselves at him, it was just in all out of proportion. Like it would be quite difficult for most people to comprehend what kind of options he was getting. It was hilarious. Like his girlfriend was like honestly one of the most insane girls like in the whole region. Like absolutely unbelievable, almost perfect, like visually. And he just constantly had other girls as well. Anyway, but he was just the bartender. DJs, same thing, right? So last night in the event, I actually bumped into one of the Kazumba DJs on the way in. I said, "Oh, you from Portugal, mate?" And he goes, "No, I'm from France." He was a lighter skinned black guy. I don't know if he was mixed race, but he was a little bit lighter skin. And I could see he was a DJ. Normal guy, completely normal, calm. Looked a little bit like, I don't know if he was just got in or something, but he looked a little bit like, you know, sort of a deer in the headlights coming in. And then later on I saw him on the stage. And what was hilarious was there was 4 or 5 girls, no, actually probably more like 5 or 6 of the more attractive girls there. Actually the young, like, let's say 25-ish girls, really looking at him. Like, literally some of them like making eyes at him, like pointing at him, like doing all sorts, right? He was oversubscribed. He was oversubscribed because he was on a pedestal. And in this little microclimate, he had influence and he had quote-unquote status, right? He's showing his skills on the decks. He was an okay DJ. And he looked good, to be fair. Like, his clothes looked good. He looked good. You know, he obviously like took care of himself and stuff. He looked good, right? But the point is, the results he was getting for doing literally nothing at all, nothing. He didn't do anything. He just did his thing, and the girls were trying to get him. Yeah. Now, for us as cold approach guys, it's kind of a mad concept, right? It's like, wait, what? What? This is unfair. Like, how can this be? You know? But it's just the nature of things. There were a couple of teachers who were doing the same. There's one guy, his name is Tony Parata, he was there. He's a fucking joke. All of these like dance scene people, I'm very good friends with this a girl who owns a studio. So she's told me about the scene a lot of festivals. And a lot of the teachers, they come in for a weekend, they kind of shag at the festival because they've got a lot of status. It's a bit sexy. They're kind of the exotic dance teacher coming in, and they go through girls at the festival. There is a slightly comical aspect to it as well. Some of these places around like Europe and stuff, quite a few of these teachers are African guys, and I think the girls just like, they just really want to get with an African guy. So it's sort of, they kind of represent like this fantasy guy, right, who just comes in for a night, you know, whatever. But it's to be fair though, there's guys who are Chinese, I know, who do very fucking well, who are dance teachers, like get unbelievable women. So yeah, but I do think at some of these festivals, it's a bit of a, it's an interesting idea, it's an interesting thing. And the teachers have got a little bit of status as well, because they probably have a YouTube following. They might be quite well known in one country, like guy teaches in Holland or Germany, and they come here. The festival girls might come in from Serbia, they might come from the surrounding countries, even from different countries, for this festival. So they have a kind of high level of status as well. They've got social influence, right? They've got social influence. And those guys were oversubscribed as well. And the women were literally fighting for their attention, yeah? And women will fight their asses off. In these scenarios, when they feel there's like a hot property that they need to fight for, their reaction is very different to men. So for example, if I see a girl and she's really getting very, let's say I'm in for her, and she's getting very friendly with a guy, I will actually be put off. I'll be like, nah, I'm good, love. Like, it's kind of like, it's like watching a cat sniffing around your food. You're like, nah, I'm not really hungry anymore. Like, I'm good. This is my experience. Men, we kind of like, we might compete a little bit, but it's kind of like once the woman seems to be with a guy. For me anyway, I'm like, I'm not gonna try and degrade myself, right? I'm like, she's already with this guy, it's pretty obvious. I'm gonna just fuck off at this point. And that's kind of how guys, I've seen it, like mostly are typically built like that. Women aren't. Women will fight each other to the fucking death, like, and they'll go long into the conflict, right? There's like, it's kind of crazy. And it's almost like it's their only chance to compete, actually. It's a very interesting dynamic when you see it. As I say, I used to see it constantly on the club scene with the guy who was the it guy of the club, with sometimes a DJ, sometimes a promoter, DJ, promoter, and then the it guy. Maybe one or two of the bartenders as well. When I did my own promotion, I was never that much of a... Part of the reason I did it was because, like, I want to be on Easy Street, and I want the best girls around me easily. And I also, to be honest, the events in my city weren't good enough, so I did my own, basically. And this is the last point I'm going to come to, which is being the orchestrator. So this is something that you could actually do as an entourage member, as a guy. You could actually be a little orchestrator wherever you are, you know, a social orchestrator. That's something I would really recommend. You know, put yourself, can you orchestrate 6 things this year? Can you orchestrate 6 things this year? Where you go, okay, right, we're gonna do this, I've got this going on this day. Friday, 9 PM, we're gonna do these drinks, we're gonna do mojitos before we go out. Next month, we're gonna do whatever it is. It could be something completely different. It could be, you know, we're gonna do this trip to this place. Whatever it is, make it amenable to the girls as well. Make it something that you could at least invite women to. You can invite your cold approach girls. You can invite female friends. And what will happen when you're an orchestrator? It's your thing, so you're at the center. And actually, like, you kind of get some kudos for that. It's something that builds as well. It's something that can build as well. So when I started off, like, I started to just orchestrate things with a friend. We'd just throw parties on a Friday night, and he was the big social guy, and I was just like, I was kind of dependable and I was kind of good, but he was the really sociable guy. So like, but I was his backup guy. I was like, oh, this is my mate Joseph. Oh, he's fucking cool. So we're good. But he was the guy who was really out there. So we were a good team together. So you can team up with a friend. You probably need to be in one location for a while doing this. It's one reason why the nomad lifestyle, it does present more of a challenge to actually do this. I think it can be done, but I think it presents a lot more of a challenge. And so being that orchestrator, what I found was, like, over time, and it's a period of like months, and then it goes into years, it kind of built. And I always had good access to at least meet the most attractive women. This is before I knew anything really about cold approach or whatever, but I always had good access in that respect, and good things happen. I'd probably in some cases missed a few opportunities, but I still had good access. And it was also good when I had a girlfriend as well. It's like, your girl wants to be with the king. She doesn't want to be with a guy who stays at home and doesn't do anything. No girl wants that, yeah? And they will always complain about it. One of my friends, he's like, with a girl who literally has, she's very antisocial herself. And even she complains about the fact they don't go out. Most girls, they do want to be out. So this is something you can and should do, even if you've got a girlfriend. It's only going to make your girl think even more highly of you. And also, it's just something you should do anyway, or you could do. It's another option. So you don't have to go and become a club promoter. You don't have to go and become a DJ. But it is interesting, like, to see how outsized their results are doing nothing. That's the key. That's the kicker. They just put themselves in the right place, yeah? Location, location, location. The DJ was funny. He came out. Someone just took the decks for half an hour. He came out. He got the number of the girl he likes in front of everyone, and then the other girls were still competing over him. It's funny. And I didn't dance with those girls because I'm like, because I've been around this scene so much, like especially the club scene. I just saw it all like fucking Rain Man. Immediately I saw it all. I was like, I'm not being the warm-up guy for the DJ. Now what happened interestingly as well, like when the teachers all start to dance in one area, because I'm egotistical, and genuinely because I'm good as well, I'll go and dance where they are, right in the middle of them, because it gets me going. I'm like, yeah, I'll have a look at what they're doing, and I'm like, all right, yeah, whatever. You think I've not seen that before, mate? I've trained with two of the world's best in the world. I think I've trained with the actual best guy in the world, to be honest. So like, you know, anyway, so I get a bit competitive, and I'll go to that area, and you know, it's really just enjoyment, but I get stimulation off being around other good people. And what I find is, like, I'll be dancing around there, and then the girls will start to see me. Not the ones who are, not the groupies. The groupies are gone. Yeah, forget about the groupies. But some of the girls and women will see me, and then like, basically some of the older women and some of the chubby women, whatever, they would then start approaching me. The baddies were all gone for the DJs and whatever on this particular night, but that's an interesting thing as well. The girls start to approach you for a dance, which is, it's a similar effect, but just like, unfortunately on a lower level. But you know, it doesn't really matter. It's, for me, it's just such a pleasure. It's one of the most fun things I can do. It's something that I do. It's like, I truly enjoy it, like truly enjoy. And every bit of learning I've ever got from it, it's paid me off 50,000 times over. So yeah, so that was my night last night. Hopefully I haven't gone on too much in this video, but I think the principle could be really useful. Pedestal, orchestrator, and then a micro scene, you know, an influencer within a micro scene. So I hope that's useful. The night's going on again tonight. I can't be bothered tonight. Last night was good enough. Yeah, had a good night last night, and I think I might just go and have a little stroll, wind down the evening. I've got my book, Serbian Grammar. It's another. When do these missions stop? Yeah, extremely different. The Slavic languages are no fucking joke, man. So I'll leave it there. A night of grammar awaits, and I hope that's helpful for you boys. I think it's something, if you're intelligent and this appeals to you, it's something you could definitely orchestrate in your favor. And when I think back, there was definitely a girl that I got with when I was in the middle of a scene, a couple actually, that I really liked, and they almost, it was never really spoken, but they almost like, it was like I was the center point of gravity, and me and a couple of friends, and they kind of orbited into that. And that's something that's just worth thinking about. Yeah, as well as the daytime stuff I think is still king, to be honest with you. But oh my god, I can't tell you what I've just seen. But I think in addition to that, could give you a slightly easier angle, if not slightly more long-term, but also a good thing to do in general, whether you're in a relationship or whatever. So I'll leave it there. Peace, love, strength and honor.